So in this video, we're going to take a look at how to convert this color photo into a black and white image, actually just black, that could be printed in a format like a newspaper where they want to convert color images into black images or black and white images so that they can be reproduced easily using one color of ink. So to do that, we're going to create a halftone. Now, I'm going to start here in Adobe Photoshop, and then we're going to switch over to Adobe Illustrator because Illustrator has a really easy way to do that. To do that, though, we need to get this photo from Photoshop and over to Illustrator. There are a couple of ways to do that. We're going to use an easy one. So I've got my file open, my background has been removed, and I'm now going to come up to the File menu, and I'm going to say Export, and say Quick Export as PNG. So portable network graphics, PNGs, have one really powerful advantage. They allow transparency, and it's going to keep that transparent background, which is going to be helpful to us. So I'm just going to, record that and put transparent BG there. Now I know what that is. I always like to give my files sort of understandable names so I know what it is later in case I come back to it later and I get interrupted and I need to come back. So there it is. I'll put transparent BG. I'm going to throw that on my desktop. Here's a best practice tip. Always have a place that you save your files to, that's your go-to place to drop your work. Later you can move it elsewhere. I always use the desktop. It's a bit lazy, but hey, there it is. Mr. T, transparent BG. I'll save that. And now it should be there. And we're going to pop now over to Adobe Illustrator. I've got a document set up here. It's blank, it's empty. And I'm going to try and place that file. So I go to Illustrator, File, Place. Now I'm going to go to my desktop. And when I find the desktop here, I'm going to find, oh, there he is, Mr. T, transparent BG, PNG. I'm going to say Place. You see a little picture of my smiling face. And I'm just going to select that area, click and drag out until I got the image. That's fantastic. Now, at this point, I can do funky stuff with it. And so I'm going to go under the Effect menu, and I'm going to start looking for a filter that I could apply to this. And so I can go down to the Sketch menu, and I'm going to grab Halftone Pattern. Now, once I've got the halftone pattern up, and I'll just bring over the dialog that's there. I have to do some resizing here. Just bear with me. Get that onto my little laptop screen here. There we go. And so now I've got my image. I can actually use the controls on the bottom to kind of shrink the size there. And I can start playing with this. So you can see my image looks pretty muddy here. I look pretty dark. I'd like to kind of maybe reduce the contrast a little bit so I can get some more brightness in there. And I can adjust the size of the dots. Like I can kind of go crazy here, and just change the size of the dots. And you have to kind of dial it into the point where you're happy. And then you can save that out. But it will look, as we zoom in a little bit, you can see that it's all just dots, right? So I'll zoom in on my face, and obviously it's going to lose a little bit of the resolution, but that's okay because it's supposed to look newspapery. It's kind of supposed to look a little old school. So that halftone pattern kind of gives it that, and the lack of resolution actually aids in the creation of that fake authenticity to make people think that it's real. I know it sounds funny, but that's how it works. You can also change the pattern, so you can change it to like a line halftone, and it converts it all into lines, or you can go with circles. You can get all sorts of wild effects, and I really strongly encourage you to play with some of these because you can create all sorts of cool images. One last note, the image is still a little kind of, dark. That's okay because we can always go into Photoshop or Illustrator and we can boost the brightness of the image if that helps us. But for now, I'm just going to use this halftone as it is. I'm okay with the little circle thing. That's kind of funky. I'll say okay. And so now that's going to go out. It's going to think for a while. It's now given me my image, and you can actually see when it's brought it in, it's not as deep or pixelated. It's actually resolved it and it's rendered it, and it looks okay. So that, in a nutshell, is how to do halftoning.